It up. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? I am beat. Oh man. All right, we're not gonna take too much time today. Today is gonna be a quick show. We're gonna be in and out with it. Mostly, what we're trying to talk about today is spring playoff season, man. It's that time of the year. It's that don't screw up time of the year. Um, it's that must win time of the year. So it's about that time, man. It's time for action. All right. Welcome to 60 to 60. As always, I'm your host, Morris Hilton. I've been playing football for a long time, since I was about 9 years old. Um, Played Pop Warner with Mount Vernon Razorbacks, went to Iona Prep, won a state title there, went to Nassau Community College. It was the top team in the country at the time. I had a car accident, ended my college career. A few years after that, I found my way in a semi-pro football field, never looked back. Right now, playing in semi-pro, minor league football, whatever you want to call it. Currently play with the CT Falcons and the Independent Football Association, and in the ECFL. Also play football there as well. Tonight we got a guest coming on the show. Zachary Shirland is the head coach of Seacoast Warhawks, another top team in the IFA. We're gonna talk a little bit about playoffs. We're gonna talk about his team, kind of, their perspective. They're based out of New Hampshire, I believe. We drove out to Dover, New Hampshire, to play them. They've got talent all over the Northeast. So that should be fun. Should be fun to have him on. As always, we're looking to build, a network of sponsors, athletes, fans, teams, bring it all together. Hopefully, build out something really special. So, if you're interested in advertisement and interested in being a sponsor of the show, a team, a player, just reach out to me. All my information is right there for you. All right, let's jump into the horn. All right. Nothing's changed so far in the national rankings as far as the Sunshine Bowl is concerned. Um, however, I say nothing's changed, but a lot has changed. I got a little note here that I want to read. We're gonna take a little pause for the first time. We actually gonna look into it. So, Sunshine Bowl actually put out some information. I think this was on Memorial Day. They basically, acknowledge that it's don't slip up season, right? It's that time where if you're a top team, you really got to lock in. But there was a lot of things that happened. So first, the Miami Magic City Bulls, they upset a whole lot of teams in the FFA, and the FFA is a very tough league. Apparently, they're the league champs. Didn't know that. They were not in the running. I mean, they're a good team, but they were not one of those teams that everybody thought was going to win. The MLF, the DMB Knights, which is a team that a lot of people know about, they lost to the Virginia Royals. The Bayou Hurricanes took a loss. They've been the number one team for weeks now. They took a loss in the SCFL in their final game of the regular season. So there's a lot of things that change, right? A lot of just crazy losses. I remember a few weeks ago, the New Jersey unit took a loss to the Philly Phantom, and that one was a shocker. The commissioner of the NEAFL actually he called it. He said, this is a game to watch. This might happen. So just a crazy year of upsets. A lot of things are probably going to change as far as these rankings are concerned. As of right now, it's still set in stone, but you could see a lot of these teams changing around. I honestly, I think Dallas Prime are really primed, for lack of better words, to jump to the top of this list. That's a very, very talented football team. Sumter Sharks as well. I think they're still undefeated as well. So a lot of craziness happened. But we did want to shout out Louisiana Bayou Hurricanes. They're a really good football team. Look into them a little bit. If you go on Facebook and you look the team up, they got videos of their games. They got videos of interviews of their players and things like that. So that's pretty cool. Go check them out. Really, really good football team in the Deep South. Looking at the 2A rankings, something that I didn't really know about, I'm learning myself, is the NDFL, is the National Developmental Football League. You see number 8, the Soldier Force. They're a part of that. We actually gonna shout them out real quick. Shout out to the Soldier Force. Um, don't I actually couldn't figure out where the heck they were located at. They got a lot of information on their page. Um, I went and checked them out a little bit. Definitely want to see if I can get in touch with somebody from their camp. They play teams from all over the place. They got teams from Georgia. They got teams from Florida. They got teams from Alabama. They got teams from everywhere. Mostly in the South, though. I believe that they play an independent schedule, even though they're part of the NDFL, so they can really put anybody on their schedule that they want. That's usually how independent works. There's a few games that they have to play. They won their championship, so shout out to them. They're champions out there. There's going to be a lot of changes to the 2A top 30 as well. I think the top 10 teams will relatively stay the same, but all the teams underneath that is probably going to be a lot of movement. There was a couple of teams that took some L's. There's a couple of teams that probably should be on here that aren't, especially at the bottom. You're going to find some teams probably drop off. So, just something to keep an eye on, especially as we go into playoff season. I'm pretty sure within another week or so, these rankings will probably be updated. I think they're updated every month, so that'll be cool. All right, let's move on to the TFL. So week 7, which is really actually week 8, week 9, I think. But I just didn't change the number because nothing really changed. So I think it's actually week 9 for the TFL. The Eagles are undefeated. We know that. What ended up happening was they played one game yet. So it's actually right there on the screen for you, week 9. There was one game played this week that passed. Holiday weekend, the Green Wave played the Bengals. I don't know if that was a makeup game or what the situation was, but they played. Green Wave actually absolutely destroyed the Bengals. Took care of business 27-0. I keep telling you guys the top players gonna be out. I know. It's challenging. It's hard to do video editing. It's not the easiest thing. It's taking me a lot of time. And the honest truth is, I had to focus on my family a little bit, so I apologize. But I got some clips from this game that's going to be on the top plays that is going to drop this week for sure. The video's almost done. Just got to record the voiceover, so we'll get to see some of the action that happened in that game. But basically, the Green Wave are 5-3, Bengals are 5-3. But in a head-to-head matchup, the Bengals beat the Green Wave, so I believe that would give them the go-ahead for number 2. Everybody in the TFL makes the playoffs. That means even the Bengals, a winless team, made the playoffs. That's controversial, but it is what it is. I think it's 1-2, or I think 1 gets a bye, 2 gets a bye. So it'll probably be 3 and 6 playing each other, 4 and 5 playing each other. And then the winner of 3 and 6 will play the number 2. The winner of 4 and 5 plays number 1, I think. Might be reversed. I'm not sure how the TFL does it. That's interesting. There's been no information. There's been no team flyers. There's been nothing. So can't really give you too much information if I don't have any. I'm just expecting the Eagles and Bengals to be sitting at home for the first week, and then Green Wave, Ducks, Bulldogs, and Bengals gonna have to duke it out. Pretty much the Eagles and Bengals have beat most of those teams. The Bengals lost to the Bulldogs early in the season. They lost to the Eagles twice. So other than that, they took care of business. So I guess if the Bengals get the Bulldogs, that could be interesting, right? But other than that, I think it might just come down to the Bengals, Eagles in the last game. All right. In the AFL, nothing changed. They had a week off. Playoffs still look the same. Jags in unit. The unit and the Knights play because the Knights beat the Kings. We talked about this already. Here you go right here. This is a quick recap. Jersey Knights, edged it out on the Philly Hurricanes. The Phantoms upset the Tide. I think the Tide were favorites to win against the Phantom. Phantom just turned it on midway through the season. So going back to that, you got the Phantom playing the Jags, and you got the Knights playing the unit in the second round. I think the unit and the Knights game is really going to be a good one. If you go back and you look at the rankings real quick, you'll see that the Knights was number 3 when the season ended. The unit was number 2. So that's a really, really pivotal game in the playoffs. The Jags kind of got the easier of the roads. They got to play the Phantom, but don't sleep on the Phantom. The Phantom beat the unit, gave them their only loss during the season. So don't sleep on the Phantom as a sleeper team that could potentially be playing in a championship in the AFL. All right, let's move on real quick. We're just going to quickly recap. Let's look at the IFA. This thing is bugging out on me. Give me a second. There we go. All right, we're just going to recap the IFA real quick. This is just my power rankings, the Hill power rankings. That's how the season ended. Cardinals number 1, Warhawks number 2, Falcons 3, Bearcats 4, Patriots 5th, Crusaders 6. The Bearcats Patriots 4-5 really could flip either way. The point says that they're a better team, but the honest truth is the Patriots definitely have a better roster overall. So with that being said, that 4-5 spot could really flip. It doesn't matter anyway. Bearcats are in the south. In the north. Patriots in the south with the Falcons. So Crusaders really, played well over the last couple of weeks. We still haven't gotten any word on a Cardinals forfeit, loss or not, whether it's official or not, whether it even matters. I'm not sure. And a head-to-head, they beat the Warhawks. So that's that. Nothing really changed as far as stats. Obviously, nobody's played. Just an interesting thing to kind of look at when you're looking at some of these matchups, like the Warhawks got to play the Bearcats. And if you look at, the stats, what's on paper at least, it's not even close. It's not even a game. They're going to probably take care of business in a beautiful way. They got the home field advantage. So we're going to get to talk a little bit with Coach Shirland about this in a little bit. But when you also look at the Patriots and Crusaders game, one of the interesting things to think about is a lot of teams put the Crusaders down. A lot of teams put the Crusaders down. They had a terrible start to the season. They got blown out by the Falcons. I think that really hurt their reputation. But they've only scored 11 points less than the Patriots on the season. And as far as points, allowed, 40 of those 120 points that they allowed was to the Falcons. You take that out of the equation, they only gave up 80. And Patriots only gave up 54, and they had, I think, 2 forfeit wins. So they didn't play 2 games. So, I mean, those teams are a little closer on paper than I think we would like to believe. That's a little uncomfortable of a conversation to have now. We might touch on that a little bit later, too. This is going to be the gist of the show, man. We're gonna really try to dive into these matchups and try to dive into it week by week. Talk a little bit about what we think might happen. This is the IFA's playoff picture. This is pretty much what's going on right now. This weekend on Saturday, we got the Patriots playing the Crusaders. They're gonna be playing at SUNY Maritime, and then you got the Warhawks playing the Bearcats. They're more likely, I'm gonna confirm this, but they're more likely playing in Dover at Commissioner's Field. Games to watch. I don't have a flyer for the Bearcats Warhawks game, but honestly, both games are the game to watch. I mean, the Warhawks are probably gonna show you that they're primed and ready to go out and beat the Cardinals. They lost to them by 1 point. They took an unfortunate loss to their roster with the quarterback going down in that game. But the guy who stepped in is good. He's legit. He can ball. No drop off there. Alex confirmed that the Warhawks game is in Dover. I appreciate that. Alex. So I have a flyer for the wild card game for the Patriots Crusaders. So that's cool. But honestly, both games are the game to watch. I think really the reason why I put this game as the game to watch is the first time the Patriots played the Crusaders, it was a 12-14 win for the Patriots. Very, very close game. It was a last-second touchdown, a bomb. We actually going to take a look at what happened in the Falcons game too, how the Crusaders got out of that with a win. It was almost an exact replication of what happened to the Patriots. The difference was the Patriots had just enough points ahead, and they had no time left in the game. But it was scary because if they had a little more time, that game might have went a different way. So can the Patriots go out there and execute at the highest level had a lot of games that they've played this year, not just in the IFA. They played in multiple leagues at the same time. They got guys who play in multiple leagues at the same time. So they played a lot of football. Are they beat up? Are they tired? Are they worn out? Are they ready? There's a lot of questions to ask. And they almost lost to this team already. This team is on a run right now. They just beat the best team in their conference. And there's a lot of backstory to this. We're gonna talk about that a little bit in a second. But let's look at the NEAFL round 2. This is the flyer that the New Jersey unit put out, the athletic department. I think it's really cool that the unit has its own athletic department. They put out flyers for media events. They talk about games. They put out information about the players. They announce coaches, players, signees. They put the flyers out. That's really cool. More teams need to start doing that. More teams need their own athletic department. The unit play the Knights. 143 Meager Ave, Newark, New Jersey, 3 p.m., June 4th. If you're in that area, go check that game out. That's going to be crazy. That's going to be crazy. Probably, in my opinion, 2 of the best teams in spring semi-pro in all of the Northeast, going all the way down to Philly, going all the way up to Maine. These are 2 of the best teams out there. They're going to be colliding in the playoffs. You know you're going to get some great football. All right, really quickly, we're not going to spend too much time tonight on playbook breakdown. We're still going to do it, though. Let's talk about it. We're going to go over shotgun, power, RPO. All right. First play we're going to look at real quick is this RPO spot. So this is getting receivers downfield. If your best receiver on the field, your most dynamic guy is your slot, you want to run a spot. Now look at the blocking a little bit for the RPO, for the run. You're going to get a nice little pull. We're trying to go downhill, dive style, run with the tailback. You're going to pull that left side guard. You're going to bring him around into the A, B-ish gap. You're going to try to double on that tackle, get him out. We're looking at a 40 front. We got 2 linebackers deep. We got another linebacker who's spaced out a little bit. We're really going to try to work off that tackle with that double and get that backside blocker with the play side guard, run that backside guard into the play side linebacker as he feels. Running back is really just trying to squeeze and find that small little gap between that cross motion of the 2 guards, picking up their guys and just take off. Now, the quarterback is reading the linebacker that's closest to the running back, the outside linebacker. So if that linebacker is playing that spot route, he's going to hand that ball off. That linebacker falls into the box and starts to read that run. He's going to throw that ball to that slot. The outside receiver on that side, he's going to take 2 steps upfield. He's going to stalk block. If that corner stays deep and that safety comes flying down, trying to hit that slot, he's going to block the safety instead of the corner and let the slot take the corner one-on-one. If that corner tries to get aggressive and jump that route, he's going to take that corner out and give that slot the sideline. Now, the bottom is the same exact play. These 2 plays go hand in hand. The bottom is a bubble instead of a spot because let's say your best receiver, most dynamic guy is on the outside. If he's on the outside, basically what you're going to do is you're going to run that slot 1 step upfield, and then he's going to go down the line hard. He's going to try to beat that corner to the spot of the Z receiver. He's going to try to get right in front of him, stalk block him. Z is going to take 1 step upfield. He's going to turn, open himself up to the quarterback. He's going to take 2 steps inside. That ball should be hitting him in his chest, and he should be turning, going straight upfield, getting as many yards as possible. One thing that we haven't talked about is a read, a very important read that the quarterback's going to make pre-snap. Before the ball is even snapped, quarterback's going to read the defense and see if the slant on the backside, the X receiver, which you're seeing right now, a L, quarterback's going to take a look at that slant. And if he can see that that slant is open based on the alignment of the corner and the alignment of the linebacker, he's always going to take that slant. That's his first throw. That's his first read before the ball snapped. If he has that slant, he's going to take that all day long until they guard it. Once they guard it, then we'll go through the actual RPO. Now, there's actually 3 different versions of this. The next version you're going to see is all slants. And it's the same thing. It's the same concept. It's an easy read for the quarterback. He's reading the linebacker, the outside linebacker, or the furthest linebacker to the right that's on the running back side. All right. If you got 3 linebackers in the box, he's reading that third linebacker on the running back side. If that guy's out of the box, he's still reading that guy. If that slant is open for whatever reason, that linebacker doesn't play or take away the inside, he's throwing that slant. He's pulling that ball, throwing that slant. Also, if you got a fast quarterback who can run the ball, basically, that guy's going to pull that ball. And if everybody takes off and there's man coverage, he's just going to take the sideline. So a lot of options that you have running the RPO is not a difficult thing to coach. It is a single read for the quarterback. It's one single pre-snap read. He's looking to see if that backside slant is open. If that guy's on an island, he knows he has him beat. He's going to throw it all day. Other than that, you're just reading that play side linebacker. And then the last variation that you're going to get is a pick route, a.k.a. a rub route. You're going to have your slot go upfield. He's attacking the seam first, little stem to the outside release. This is a situation where you're seeing a classic 4-3. So you got three linebackers in the box. Makes it a lot easier for that quarterback to read it. He's reading that linebacker. If that linebacker comes downhill, attacking that run, read. Let's say you got a great running back and he doesn't have a choice. He cannot afford to lose a step on that running back. He has to get down into his gap. As soon as the quarterback sees that linebacker is taking his, steps forward, he's throwing that slant. He's throwing that pick route. That pick route should run that linebacker off. Now, let's just say that guy is a great athlete, right? That safety who's rocked down. This is a single high look. That safety is a great athlete, and somehow he's able to push that seam type route off to the corner. And that safety over the top drops down. Quarterback should be able to read that pretty quickly. He obviously has a slant on the backside, right? So this is a better variation with pick routes if you've got some great DBs that you're going up against. If you're going up against a great defensive back group that really can lock down some different types of routes. All right, now you might need to go into like an actual pass play on this RPO, and now you're looking at maybe a pick route. Maybe you're looking at two deep routes here. Maybe you're looking at a double post on that backside. That works better for your team, right? But these are just ideas and concepts to think about. And then defensively, playbook breakdown, we're not really going to break it down too much. It's just something to look at. The formation here that we're in is a 4-3. Classic 4-3. The coverage is a cover 6. Free safety side, you're going half the field, so you're playing cover 2. Strong safety side, you're playing cover 4. If you got a safety who cannot, for whatever reason, cover an open space, you need to run cover 6. It's not something that's hard to teach. Listen, just go through it and practice a few times. It's something that I've actually coached to my guys when I coach, and we've run cover 6 plenty of times. It's a great coverage because a lot of quarterbacks, when they see it for the first time, have no idea what they're reading. They're getting false reads, and they end up going through their progression and go backside, and it's a totally different coverage. They wasn't expecting they throw picks. But basically, you're just cutting the field in half. The middle linebacker is playing center no matter what. On one side of the field, you're playing quarters. On the other side, you're playing halves. I mean, very simple, but very effective. Quarterbacks are always making pre-snap reads. He sees that safety rock down. He's thinking cover 3. The free safety can even rock to the center of the field and then just sprint back to his half when the ball is snapped. Really give that cover 3 look. Once the ball is snapped, if he's reading his play side, let's just say his play side is to his Y and Z, right? He's reading that play side. Now all of a sudden he's getting a cover 4 look. Okay, so it's cover 4. Maybe he checks off and goes backside. On the backside, it's cover 2. It's totally different. So he's thinking maybe, oh, so on the backside, if it's cover 4, I must have an easy little dig. You don't have an easy little dig because it's cover 2 on the backside. That middle linebacker is playing deep. That safety is pretty much sitting over the top of anything coming downhill on it. So great defense to run. All right, let's bring in Coach Zach for a second. Hey, Coach.
Hey, how are you?
How you doing, man?
Good.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight, man, is we're entering the playoff season. Not just us, but pretty much all over the country. Everybody in the spring right now is going into their playoff season. As a player, I could say that it's one of those times of the year where I get excited. Like I start to really lock in. You start to watch what you eat, work out a little harder. You actually go to practice and try to get prepared. But as a head coach, kind of talk about what it's like going into playoff season.
Oh, sure. We really focused early on in the season on, building the roster, putting this team together, and, you know, uh, giving it our best shot throughout the whole season. We're feeling pretty good about going in. Um, this is the time of the year to, we're finalizing, tightening everything up, and moving on into playoffs. We've got a pretty good opponent coming up with the Bearcats. I think they were last year's champions, right?
Yep.
So, um, we're going in. We were at their last game against the Cardinals, and we were watching for any tips or anything they may give us, and we're ready to go in and give it our best shot, and we're feeling pretty good about our chances going forward as well. So. We're pretty
Yeah,
excited about our opportunity this year. We think we've got a great team and some great leaders, and we're feeling pretty good about it.
that's awesome to hear, man. Y'all actually played the Bearcats early in the season, am I right?
Yeah, we had a 21 to nothing victory against the Bearcats earlier in the season.
Now, I mean, I do the rankings. I do my little personal ratings of the different teams based on what I see and what I get.
Mhm.
And earlier in the year, I had heard that they had lost some pieces on offense. I didn't know how much of a problem that would be for them. But as the years gone on, I mean, it's very obvious just from what they've done on field that the offense is not powerful, right? They kind of struggle. How did you feel about it when you played them, seeing it up close and personal?
I mean, we went in there pretty well prepared, and we had a good opportunity to build our team when we were playing them, and play some guys that normally wouldn't get some opportunities. But um, we won't really comment on their offense or anything like that. But um, we'll just go into this week excited to play a football game, and hoping to come out on top.
Yeah, when I look at the Bearcats right now, I think of like an old school type of team where the defense is really what's going to take them. I even think a little bit about like the early 2000 Ravens type of teams where that defense really carried them all the way. And I mean, the team embraces it fully. They're like, our defense is the best defense, and we're going to beat you no matter what happens. So I'm interested. I really hope that they make it very difficult for you guys to score. And they're just one of those rare teams nowadays. You don't see too many teams like that the defense leads the way. And it's kind of similar for the Falcons. I mean, when we went out and we played you guys, our defense up to that point was kind of the motor that kept the team running, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
The defense didn't allow points. It gave the offense many opportunities over and over again. I saw when you guys played the Cardinals that was like a clash. That was a battle. And that defense is probably a lot better than people think it is. So when you was watching the Bearcats game with the Cardinals, I didn't get to see anything. How did they look? Did they look prepared? Did that defense look as sharp as it did against you guys? Do they look like they fell off any bit, or they look like they're ready to go as well?
I think every team in this league, any given week, is really ready to go. The Bearcats being champions last year, the Cardinals beating us at home. We did turn the ball over a whole lot. It was a bit of a mess, but I think we've become a better team. We learned from that. Bottom line is we learned from that, and we're feeling confident going forward throughout playoffs that we have a great opportunity to win a championship. And Bob and some of these guys have done it before for this organization, and uh, Ray Toy, some of our new captains, some of our leaders like Greg Morris, our center. We want to win championships for those guys, guys who have been playing for almost 20 years now, and maybe beyond 20 years for Big Greg. So we really want to send them out with a championship. So that's our main focus right now.
I hear you. Now, when we played you guys, I wasn't expecting that. Like, I'm thinking I've never been to New Hampshire. FYI, that was my first time ever crossing that state line. And I'm going, man, we're way up north. It's probably going to be like 70 degrees. And we get out there and it was 90 degrees.
Yeah, that was a horrible, horrible game. Sun wise, it was a mess. heat
You
wise.
guys, how do you guys prepare for that? Because especially like in playoff season, like we're going out in one of the hottest times of the year. How are you guys kind of preparing yourselves for?
Oh, you just gotta hydrate. You gotta be accountable. You gotta hold your brothers accountable, and communicate. We talk about it. We say something in group chats, or we'll remind each other. Keep drinking. Um, yeah, we also prepare. With little huts or stands that we can sort of stay cool under. Coach Lebrecht brings in some ice buckets, and he's able to spray some cool mist. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah,
So
that's important, man.
yeah, we
Keep you
try and
guys
stay
cool.
cool. We also snack. We also have oranges or grapes or bananas, just stuff available for the guys to just feel better in those hot situations.
Yes, sir. One more question about your team before we kind of look at the overall brackets. I mean, you guys, in my opinion, have put on one of the most impressive regular season performances, at least in spring football and semi-pro, in a long time.
Hmm.
I mean, you guys absolutely dominated this year.
Hmm.
And not for nothing, people don't understand the IFA is a very competitive league. It looks like it might not be very competitive because of some of the scores that you've seen, but that's not indicative of bad teams. That's indicative of how good the top teams really are.
Sure.
And also the factor of, where some of these games were played. A lot of the closer relative games were a little more closer. The teams were better prepared for the travel. Some of the further games, you kind of see the fall off. That's just something that we're starting to understand as a part of semi-pro football, right? Especially when guys are responsible for getting somewhere on their own, kind of makes it tough to travel. But just looking at the overall performance of your team from this year, just comment on it. I mean, you guys put I think 200 plus points up over under on your
Sure.
opponent. So
Yeah. I've been doing this semi-pro stuff for over a decade now. Even before that, I helped create a pretty serious club at the University of Maine for guys who got kicked off the D1 team, or guys who decided they didn't want to be a walk-on anymore. You could come play for us. We became nationally ranked. And then I became involved with the Southern Maine Raging Bulls, and helped them become nationally ranked in 2014. We went 13-1, and our only loss was to the defending national champion Connecticut Panthers in overtime in the championship. That was one of the best teams ever. Honestly, we really think so. And then in 2017, we lost by a Giovanni Sanders Hail Mary. So that was absolutely brutal.
yeah,
Again, one of the best games ever. I really thought we won it. We scored with a minute left. I think it was maybe a minute and a half left. And they threw that Hail Mary, and I still watch it today. That's why all the grays in the beard now. It literally kills me to this day. But when I was invited by Bob was a former Raging Bull himself, so he called us to come on board. A couple of our players with a common connection with Bob also came over. Some great guys. I also convinced some other guys to come over. We're really a nice melting pot, is really what it is. We have Boston Bandits, we have North Shore Generals, we have Taunton Gladiators, we have GSD guys, we have Bulls, we have Warhawk guys, original Warhawk guys, which I think makes us a unique organization in that sense, that we really look at ourselves as an all-star organization. With the talent that we have, the coaching staff is pretty incredible. I have a good talent of recruiting and bringing these guys together. My offensive coordinator, Jim McDuffie, he started at quarterback for us in the last Bearcats game. He's simply phenomenal. He won a state championship at Cape Elizabeth High School here in Maine. He got his son the Fitzpatrick Award here in the state of Maine, which is like the Heisman for the high school player in the state of Maine. So he's a phenomenal coach. Bob's a phenomenal owner. He makes himself middle linebacker one, but who wouldn't? Of course. No, I'm just teasing. Bob's a great guy. He's an awesome vet, awesome leader to have on the field, and a captain we all rely on. And then the rest of the coaching staff, Tona McCarthy. He's a special teams coach for this team and an offensive assistant, but he has head coaching experience in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. We have Scott Lebrecht, who is, again, an offensive assistant and a special teams guy who's the head coach of GSD. So, and of course, our defensive coordinator, John St. Pierre, who's won 2 state championships at 2 different classifications of schools in the last 2 years here in the state of Maine. So he's a young up-and-coming coach. You put this all together. Some of these guys are actually brothers. We also have Paul McDuffie, who is in the booth. He's won a state championship at Freeport High School here in Maine. He's a wonderful all-around assistant. So, you put that all together, the talent that we have, the vets, the young kids that we have coming in from Hudson University, University of Maine guys, it's a pretty nice mix. And, we're pretty excited for the future as well.
Yeah. I mean, what a crazy turnaround. I looked at some Warhawks tape, I think from about 2 years ago, a year from before that, and then comparing that, just a couple of years ago to where you guys are today.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible turnaround in our organization. You guys were a good football team then, but just a much, much better, different class of a football team now. How do you feel about the national rankings? You guys aren't on the list right now. And I get it. Before you say it, I get it. There's some leagues like the TFL. There's some teams that have more wins than you guys. You lost to the Cardinals. Cardinals just got in. But how do you feel about your team and how they really kind of?
I've been up and down the East Coast doing this for a long time, and I've seen a lot of those teams play, and I'm comfortable saying we are a nationally ranked team. They just, I don't know. I can't explain why we're not on the list when I look at that list, knowing dang well that we would give some teams some fits, but that's all right. Once we win some playoff games, maybe we'll pop up on the list. I'm not too worried about that sort of stuff. But we do laugh about it. I mean, we know better. We know better.
All right, cool. All right, let's take a look at the playoffs, man. So this is how it played out. I kind of called it a couple weeks ago. I said the only thing that could really happen is if the Bearcats were somehow to upset the Cardinals. That didn't happen. Cardinals actually put a good whooping to them. Kind of proved that they belong where they are. There was some talk about that whole Cardinals Crusaders game not happening. Maybe they get a loss, and I thought maybe that could potentially help the Warhawks out. But then again, in the head-to-head, they got the win, so that kind of canceled that out. So I don't even think it even matters anymore. But first off, let's just acknowledge that you guys already shut this team out once, right? You guys are playing at home. Did you guys play them at home the first time, or was that?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We played them at home.
So they got to come back to you guys. That's a tough place to play. It has one of those old school football feels to it. That field.
Oh, sure. You see the hay back
there?
Yeah. That's what I like the best about it is that hay back there. I don't know what that's about. That's pretty cool.
I Googled the field, and when I seen the hay, I was like, yeah, they're just in the middle of nowhere. And it was literally in the middle of nowhere.
It looks nice. I won't lie.
It's pretty cool. All of a sudden you drive, and all of a sudden you see a football field. This is oh, all right. Cool. So that has a factor to it.
For sure.
Those guys got to come out, and they really got to give it their all, in order to even compete with you guys. So I get that. How are you guys feeling about the rematch with the Cardinals if you get there, right? We're not going to put anything on the Bearcats. Of course, we give them a lot of respect. But if you guys do reach the Cardinals, how do you feel about the rematch this time around? I mean, by the way, that's like a huge game. When that happens, everybody's watching that.
Yeah. We feel pretty good going into, any game. We believe in our coaching staff and our players to, get the tasks done, whatever it might be. We've challenged the guys a couple of times this year, and they have stepped up to the occasion. We sort of shaked up our defense a little bit to get some other looks, and the guys reacted exactly how we hoped. So going into that game, we know what we got to do to win. We're excited to have that rematch. We said it as soon as it happened. You just wait till next time. We're going to be ready to go. I feel like when we lose as an organization, at least, carrying on from the Bulls, it's always some last second craziness. So that game again is like, it just adds to this. And it used to be big and beautiful and red, and it's just not anymore. And I don't know, man. So
a couple of those plays. Yeah, a couple of those plays I had on the top 10 plays, man. And that was the number one group of plays. I put them back to back. It was the same corner, same end zone, almost the same play. I mean, it was a great catch. Let's give those guys credit, right? It was great catches on both occasions, but last second, that sucks. Yeah. And they iced the field goal too. So
yeah, we did. Yeah. I mean, we won't talk about it, but I mean, we're ready for the next time. We know where we messed up. It's obvious. It's painfully obvious, and we're going to address that. And we're feeling confident going forward for sure.
Yeah, it's weird because the Bearcats are, on paper at least, a much better team than the Crusaders. The Warhawks are a much better team than the Patriots. Cardinals are a much better team than the Falcons. But the crazy thing is that I think the Crusaders have a better chance of upsetting the Patriots than the Bearcats had of upsetting the Warhawks.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
the road on that side is more challenging because those teams are all kind of clumped together and they have to see each other. So kind of talk about that, because the flip side to that is that there's a lot of talk that the North didn't travel a whole heck of a lot this year. A lot of the North teams didn't have to go past Connecticut, and they didn't have to go down to New York. And even when they did, they didn't go. They didn't show up. So,
well, I will say that for my bunch, I'm coming from Bangor, Maine, which is up near the University of Maine. So
that's deep.
And I've got a whole SUV full. So there is a group of us that is going every weekend. It is a long trip. There's no way to hash it up. You get home at 2:30, 3 a.m. if it's a trip to Brockton. So it does put some, miles on your mind for sure. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for an upset this week, the Crusaders are hot, right? They just beat y'all.
They sure did. They sure did.
What was the final score?
You know what? Final score was 24-17. 24-17.
So it was right there. I mean, that's a good ball game,
Yeah, let's take a look at two of the clips really quick.
Oh, sure. Great.
So this clip right here is our kicker hitting the field goal, right? And at this point, it was a 14-14 game. No, I'm sorry. It was 17-14.
Okay.
It was 17-14. No, it was 16-14. Sorry. So at this point, before this field goal is hit, it's a 16-14 game.
And he's making it 17-16.
This made it 17-16. You see the sideline goes crazy.
Yeah, sure.
We think we won. There's only 30 seconds left in the game at this point. We had just gotten the ball back after stopping him. And that quarterback, Jay McCray, is incredible. He's lightning in the bottle. We stopped him. We didn't let him pass the ball. We didn't let him get a first down. We get the ball back. We drive the entirety of the field. We actually started this drive on like the 18-yard line. We drove the entirety of the field. We hit the field goal. We actually hit a pass in the back of the end zone. The guy, we watched the tape a couple times. The guy is in the end zone. But as you can see, there's no back pylon. And if you were there, those lines look visible to you on film. But in the game, standing on the field, you could not see those lines on the field. I don't know if it was the sun, the angle of the sun, or what. So the guy's laying in the end zone, and they said he was out of bounds. So it was a tough decision. We were saying, go for it again. Do it again. But
And
instead,
no one
Coach
knows
said, you
why
know
there's
what?
no pylon? What's the deal with that?
I don't know. No back pylons,
Oh,
just a
boy.
front pylon.
Okay.
So we hit this field goal. We're going crazy. We go out, we kick off, and we're saying this game is not over. Now they get the ball back. It's a little choppy right here. Give it a second, it'll play through. But let me see if I can bring it back really quick. So they get the ball back, and this is their first play. Their first play getting the ball back is 30 seconds left. They threw a bomb over arguably our best corner.
Oh, my God.
Right down the field. He jumps in the end zone.
Oh, yo.
And you know what's crazy? What's crazy about this play is if you saw it live, I had just happened to get online and catch the end of the Patriots Crusaders game when they played the first game of the season. This is almost exactly what happened to them last second in the game. So, all right, we fell asleep on them, right? We did the same thing. I knew it could happen. I guess, we fell asleep on them. We had some guys that made some poor decisions the night before, right? And wasn't prepared for the heat or the early morning or playing on a Sunday at 2:00. So they didn't play as good as they could have played. And that's a learned lesson. Like that, people got to remember football is not just what happens on Saturday or Sunday. It's also what you do from Monday to Friday that counts. And we fell asleep on them. So the Patriots, I think, because it was such a close game the first time around, they won't take them lightly. But you never know because the Crusaders really are feeling really good. And you know what's crazy about that game? What people don't know is that their starting corner is actually really a linebacker. He played linebacker. It was very hot. That guy right there, Marcus Golden, he's probably one of the best linebackers I ever played against in the TFL. Great linebacker, super fast. He's a very strong guy. He reads the plays very well. He's been playing corner for them this year. We line up, and it's the first play of the game, and they got the ball, and I'm looking at their line, and he's standing in the offensive line. And I'm like, what's going on there? And he gets down, and we come to find out that their corner is playing center. So they played that entire game with no offensive line. They said their offensive line didn't show up. Those guys were all just a ragtag group of guys just stepping in to fill in positions.
Wow.
So if they played that well without their offensive line, if they get their offensive line back, which I'm pretty sure they will for the playoffs, guys like to show up when the lights are on. So that's a dangerous football team, man. That's a dangerous football team.
It sounds like maybe they should be given a run for their jobs if they're just not showing up this late. I mean, geez Louise, this guy's playing center and corner. That's the craziest combo I've ever seen in my life.
Crazy as ever.
That's insane.
I don't know of a crazier position change, right?
It's like Bruce Matthews.
Maybe center going to wide receiver or like center going to safety would be
like
crazy.
Bruce Matthews mixed with Deion Sanders. It just doesn't make any sense. So. What are you talking about?
Man, it's crazy. So I mean, the South really is looking very I hate to say weak, but it is. Like we're looking kind of weak on our side. And the crazy thing is the New York Patriots were in the championship game. They lost to the Bearcats last year. I actually watched that game in its entirety. The score says one thing. I think it was 34-14 or something like that. But if you actually watch that football game, it was a very, very good football game all the way into the third quarter. It wasn't until the fourth quarter where things kind of unfolded on them. But, I mean, that's a great football team with a great history.
Sure.
This league has just gotten a lot better with the introduction of the Falcons and the Cardinals, with the Warhawks kind of making the necessary changes that they made. Just hearing the coaching staff alone, I think you could have gave the Warhawks less talent and they still would have been super competitive, right? The Bearcats are still a great football team. So it just goes to show how much talent really is in this league, not really getting the respect that it really deserves, the honest truth. You got some really, really good football teams that are leading this league. I think the top 4 or 5 teams really could play against anybody in any league and give them a run for their money, if not just win it all. So what do you think about that Patriots-Crusaders game? You think the Patriots or the favorites in that game?
I would say so. I would say the Patriots have a pretty good opportunity to take that whole conference. With their past experience, with their organization, I think that goes a long way in a league like this. Guys who've been there before, guys who realize that the first round sometimes can be the toughest and
Yeah.
the hardest to work out. As long as you guys know how to win as a unit, that can get you through games as well. So the Patriots have that experience. They've won big games. I would expect them to sort of push through. But, the Crusaders are hot right now. They're sort of who knows what can sort of happen from any given week with those guys. So, and then you guys coming in number 1 seed, you've taken your bumps, you've taken your bruises, but now's the time to do something. Now's the time to shine. We'll see how you guys sort of show up and see how bad you guys really want it. But it'll be a fun ride for both conferences. I think all the teams here have a somewhat of a shot, and some other teams here have a really good shot. So it'll be
somebody put out who was it? Mayhem. Mayhem put out odds. I think he put the Crusaders at like 50-1 odds or something like that to win it all.
Okay.
I could see that. If that's the lowest odds in the playoffs, that's not too bad. It's not like a 200-1 odds crazy drop off like we're seeing in the TFL right now. I think the Brooklyn Bengals, they got like a 200 and something odds to win it all. They're a winless team.
Yeah,
so we don't have a situation like that. The Falcons are undefeated at home. If you go to West Haven and you play them at the Nike site, you probably not gonna have a good time, right? We beat the Patriots in SUNY Maritime. We didn't take them lightly at all. We knew what it was, and guys showed up. And even then, we didn't show up fully, right? We didn't show with everybody, but we showed up with enough. I think that the big problem for us is going to be that game. If we make it, it's going to be the game on the 18th, because you have this crossover period right now that's happening. And a lot of my coaches, said, no, these guys will be there, but I'm concerned. There's a lot of guys who have true loyalty to summer,
Yeah, oh sure.
And playing on June 18th, even for me, there's a game that's happening on June 18th that I'm like, man, I really wish the ECFL started one day later, because I really want to be at that game. So that's really going to be the tough one. And plus, we're going to have to play at a neutral site, and we're going to have to leave Connecticut. So the big deal for the Falcons right now is we gotta band together. Some of these losses hurt. They kind of created like internal turmoil, because you got guys on our team that it doesn't matter if the game is 7 hours away. It doesn't matter if we have no bus. They're going to jump in their car. They're going to drive 7 hours. They work out every day. They committed to this. They play football. They're football players. These guys are college trained. These guys are athletes. They want to win.
That's why you're the number 1 seed.
Yeah. And then you got some guys that, they put flag football above all, or they put,
oh my God. Don't get me started,
their summer team above all, or, they don't plan ahead and they don't get off from work. And there's just a number of things that it's just like, come on, dude, you can't be serious, because we're not super deep, right? We have talent and we have backups, but we're not super deep in talent. Like, the fall off from the first couple of guys to the next couple of guys is not steep, but it's enough that if you're playing a ECC, or you're playing a Warhawks, or you're playing Patriots, even if you're playing a Crusaders, that game is no longer an easy game that you kind of just glide through. Now you really like, oh man, we're losing by 20 and it's halftime. So we kind of fought with each other internally. And that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to hear from you about your camp, because I've heard, a lot, and it's not just your team. I heard the same thing from ECC, is that like our team, we're a family. We stick together. Guys come to practice. We talk to guys on the phone all the time. Like, how are you guys handling the locker room, basically?
Sure. I mean, we have weekly meetings that the guys can choose to attend. We don't really hold practices. We held practices in the preseason up until the season, but after that, we really focus just on chalk talk and Zoom meetings up until Saturday. Our pregame process on Saturday is a 2-hour process. The first hour is questions and doing walkthroughs. The second hour is obviously your pregame before the game, and we're able to figure everything out in those 2 hours. Usually, most of our guys are college level guys or guys who have been doing this, or high school all state level guys, all conference guys that happen to be going to community college or whatever to get their degree, but they still want to play football. So
Yeah.
it works out in our favor. Our guys usually are coming in already prepared, knowing what to do. We have a Google Drive where we're posting the depth charts. We're posting the game day itinerary. Everything that's going on, any game plans that's necessary. It's already been beat to death by the time we get to Saturday, so we do a pretty good job with that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that kind of is a challenge for some teams. There's a lack of depth chart sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and like I'll say, Falcons, we don't have a set depth chart, right? It could change at any moment. That creates some turmoil sometimes when you got really competitive guys.
Oh, sure.
There's some guys that really just want to be out there. So you think of something like a receiver core, right? Any receiver core on any team, you're gonna have that head to head. Like, I'm the best guy. I should be out there. I should be getting touches. I should be the number one target and things like that. So having a depth chart kind of removes some of that, right? Like, you know exactly where you are, and it's important.
And our guys know that, at least on our team, we are pretty deep. We are pretty blessed to have numbers. So our ones and twos in certain positions are one and the same. We really try and preach the ones and twos are the same. The threes, you're sort of on the outside looking in, but injuries happen. Guys don't show up. I mean, all that stuff happens all the time.
Right.
Someone could, be upset about what jersey we're wearing, doesn't show up. It doesn't happen here, but I mean, it has happened. So you've always got to be ready, even if you're a third string guy, because you could easily become a two, which again makes you a one. We're
Right.
constantly, well, I wouldn't say constantly, but we do a great job of cycling receivers. We do a good job of cycling our older offensive linemen, guys who've been doing this a long time. They have no problem of sort of relaxing in the second half. We do a great job with that because we have 6 or 7, starting, quality offensive linemen. So that's nice. And then our defensive line is pretty constantly cycling too with the amount of guys we have. So our guys know that it's really nothing personal. This is a football team. We all have one goal in mind, which is to win a championship. We set that goal early in the year. That's always been the case here, with this organization and with Bob Cody. So that was the goal this year, and it's nothing personal. You just have to adapt. If you feel like you're better, show us. You're going to have plenty of opportunity to show us.
Right.
And again, we really do try and focus on using the twos as part of the game plan as well. I mean, fresh legs is never a bad thing. New blockers, everything.
Yeah. What about the summer? You guys, are you going to coach in the summer?
No, the majority of our guys are really looking forward to the summer being off. This will be our first summer in a decade plus. So I have not had a summer to myself. It's been football, football, football since I graduated college. So I am looking forward to it. I did just take a little vacation with this, sort of 2-week hiatus we just had. So, it worked out for me. I was able to go to Canada. I went down to Massachusetts, which was cool. I went down to Encore there, which is pretty nice for a Maine guy. Maybe not a big deal to you big city cats, but I think it's pretty cool. And had a good time down there and was able to unwind and, excited to get back to it. Feeling really good about our chances. We really worked hard this year. You know, played some, great guys switching positions in the season, guys like Justin Miller stepping up, being huge. Uh, Justin Choice for us, again, huge, great guy. Going into this, everyone's like, oh, you got to watch out for Choice. You got to watch out for Choice. And, he showed up at every practice. He's a great guy, He gets a little passionate about the game. I understand that, but he's been a great leader for the guys. We got some characters on the team like Fluker Krishan, or Krishan Fluker. I'm sorry, just an awesome dude to have. Another, just firecracker on defense. You know, we're excited to get into it. We've got a great shot here, and we're looking forward to finally get cracking on Saturday.
Agreed. Hey, just a shout out to Josh Edison, man. I love that idea. I've always been a fan of northern teams playing southern teams and vice versa. My family's out of Georgia. Got a lot of family in North Carolina. That's kind of the people who raised me. So I have more of a southern kind of way about myself. So
sure,
definitely, the Falcons play a Virginia team to start their season off every year. We played the Virginia Mutiny 2 years ago. We played the Virginia Rampage this year, which is kind of an offset of the Mutiny. Looking to play the Mutiny again next year.
Okay.
Definitely think that we should be playing more Southern teams, having these crossover kind of games. It helps towards nationals, something that we talk about all the time. And it also helps the sport. It helps guys to know about football and other places, right? And kind of create more of a network, number one, but also more competition, right? Creates more competition. Let's talk really quickly to end the night off.
Okay.
This one's gonna be controversial, but trust me, it's just your opinion. It's just our opinion. Just kind of
Hey, real quick,
about.
buddy. Though, real quick,
Yeah.
you said you have a Nike site. So is that what your field's called? It's a legitimate Nike site.
No, it's called the Nike site. It was an old bomb facility back in the day, back in wartime. I think it's just called the Nike site. It's not actually sponsored by Nike or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just called the Nike site. I'm not sure.
So you guys wouldn't be able to like host some sort of like elite Eastern tournament or something like that.
Hey, that facility could host something like that. Yeah, it's a beautiful facility.
I could get some of the teams from the New Jersey and the PA leagues. I mean, I could get some of those teams up, and I mean, it's not that far, really. We all come together into Connecticut or New York or somewhere, and
it's weird because I played for the Hudson Valley Mountaineers, which is out of Poughkeepsie. I lived in Mount Vernon, Westchester, basically the Bronx area. We played in the Bronx a couple times. We played in Massachusetts. I played like the Blitz and Bears. Drove out to Springfield. I drove out to New Hampshire. It's weird that Connecticut is like 2.5 hours from everyone. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's the weirdest thing. You could be in like New Hampshire or Rhode Island, and it's 2.5 hours. You could be in the middle of Boston or like northern Boston, it's 2.5 hours. You be in Poughkeepsie, it's 2.5 hours. Jersey is 2.5 hours. It's like my fiance, her dad lives in Newark. He lives a little further than Newark, New Jersey. He's only 2.5 hours from Connecticut. It's like it's the weirdest thing.
Well, that's crazy. How long is it from Philly?
Philly is about 3 hours. We played the Tri-County Owls last year, and I drove down to Trenton, basically, which is like I was 10 minutes from the Philly cheesesteak place. And that took me 2 hours and 50 minutes basically to get there. In the middle of like rush hour traffic, mind you.
That would be a really cool tournament for sure.
It would be cool. I mean, we gotta talk about that. We gotta have that discussion, especially like
it's doable for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
That would be really, really cool.
Yep.
Maybe we could even have something like Josh is talking about, where all the teams from the North, the top maybe 3 teams, that play the top 3 teams from
Oh, for
Louisiana,
sure.
Texas, Florida, something.
Yeah.
A little tournament. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things that I wanted to kind of throw out there, an idea that I wanted to throw out there before the playoffs started, I might just post something really quick, like a poll or something, was like your opinion of the top players, right? And I think I was just going to throw it out there, but then I was like, man, that can be kind of crazy if you already track that, because everybody will have a different player. So I was thinking instead, maybe just throw the idea out to all the coaches and see if we can get like a consistent top couple guys. So if you don't mind, I want to kind of go through like each position, and just from the North, because that's the team that you guys have seen the most and you played the most. What are the top like quarterbacks that you've seen in the North Conference?
All right. Well, if you go through the conference, all right. So let's start with us, I guess. Okay. You start the season with Junior Brown, phenomenal athlete. Unfortunately, something happened in the ankle leg area. I think it was a popped Achilles was the official diagnosis, I believe. But we lost him for the remainder of the season, which is unfortunate. It does sound like he's going to be ready to go forward with the Shamrocks this summer, which is exciting to hear. Again, a phenomenal athlete, a great guy to have on the team, a good leader.
I'm a fan of that, man. I'm a fan of it.
Yeah, and then our backup quarterbacks, we have Justin Cocroft right now. He's quarterback wise, he's a flag football guy. And he's one of our top wide receivers as well, and our kicker. Great guy. I've been working with him for years now. A great guy to have around the team. Just a phenomenal guy to have in the huddle. Someone you're really ready to go to war with. And then our backup quarterback. What's that now?
He's a lot faster than I thought he was.
Oh yeah, he's absolutely. He's always been, surprising. I used to watch him when he was a point guard at Central Maine Community College, and I was like, you just don't expect that. I don't know how tall he is. I don't want to be rude, but I imagine he's 5 foot something. But he's phenomenal, and he's a hard worker. And he has to remind me all the time, Z, I got this, like just relax. And I'm just like, okay, just let him do his thing. And he's really surprised the team. So, and then we have Jim McDuffie, who is a 15 plus year vet in the Mid-States Football League, I believe, in Wisconsin, which is a very competitive league. He won championship after championship out there. And he's also our offensive coordinator. So he's super invaluable to the team. Like, he's just a great guy to have around. He was also in the military and, a leader for our country. So he's an easy guy for the guys to, look up to and obviously listen to when he has something to say. And then you go through, what is it, the Bearcats, right? Okay, so you have Frankie. Frankie's a stud, backed up at Syracuse. That's all you got to say. I mean, the Syracuse team back then was unreal, with Donovan McNabb and Deuce Staley and everyone. So pretty phenomenal. I'm not quite sure who their backup. Chris Martin, maybe the GSD kid. I think that's the case. Solid, AAA quality backup in AAA, I would say. And, again, no offense, this isn't hard feeling stuff. It's just the reality of it. And who else? We got East Coast, right? So that's Bolton, right? I'm 99% sure. I mean, that's the guy that we're game planning against. So yeah, kid's a freak. Kid's a freak, but we've played him before. Again, with the decade with the Bulls, I've seen all these guys. I know who's coming in for playoffs. I understand what's coming our way. Not too worried about it. Are you just interested in the Northern Conference?
You want to talk about the South too? You can.
Yeah, so I'm interested in what's going on with the Patriots with the quarterback. What's going on with that? I'm a big fan of the big boys back there, man. I'll tell you, Alexis Cologne, that's my dog, man. He really led the way for us for years with the Bulls, and he was throwing 45 touchdowns like nobody's business. And that's while we still had Phil Warren winning MVPs at running back. So
Crazy.
yeah, and Alexis, I mean, that dude can throw 50, 60 yards from his knees. So, and, he's a big boy, but I see a lot of Alexis when I see that one cat, and then that other cat, he looks pretty good too. What I mean, do you know that you must know their names? I'm sorry, I don't know their names, but
I don't know the names.
okay, all right.
I know who they are from when we're
Sure.
playing around them or against them. I don't really know. They've been kind of cryptic about what's going on in their camp. They got a lot going on.
It's usually the case. If you got two quarterbacks, you usually, I mean, I won't say it. I mean, John Madden would say if you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. But I don't know how they're running everything out there in New York. Are they using the bigger guy for like tank systems and like power run, and the other guy for an RPO, or what's the deal?
I actually played a game with them or against them in a TV league with the whole TV show, and the main guy, got injured in that game. It was a bad ankle injury, and they said, "All right, he's out."
Yeah.
Yeah, Teef, we're talking about you guys. If you want to hop on, Teef, hold on. I'm gonna share the link with you real quick.
Great.
But basically, he had gotten injured in that game, and they said, "All right, he's out for that game." And then I didn't see him since, so I don't know if he took a really bad injury, and that's why he's out. But I know after that they kind of switched it up. They also got the big running back Josh Hines. He's out there too full time. So that backfield got a whole lot bigger, and Josh is super dangerous. Josh is super dangerous. You look at him and you go, "Oh, this guy looks like a sinner or something." But if you don't know who he is and you don't know how that guy moves, you'd be very shocked. So, and the quarterback that they got in, I've seen him play for years. He's really good. He's really talented. He's not the kind of guy that's just like a package type of guy. He's a quarterback. He can deliver the ball. He'll stand in the pocket. He's hard to bring down. He's got a decent arm. I've never really seen him shoot it downfield like that was a rocket of a throw, but he can get it downfield. And they got talented receivers everywhere. They got speed, they got hands, they're a dangerous team.
Well, for sure. I mean, an experienced team that knows how to win tough ball games. They've been doing it for years, so no surprise.
Hey, Latif, if you want to hop on real quick and kind of talk about the Patriots, I sent the link to you on Facebook in your message. But yeah, I mean, I think it sucks. The guy that they had starting the year out was super dynamic. He was elusive. He was the type of guy that can run an option offense or just take off on the outside by himself. But he could also throw the ball. So I think it sucks that he got injured. The guy that stepped in for him is a really good football player. Steve said he'll stay in the comments. But yeah, they're looking like a good team. I think it sucks. Like how you guys had Justin to kind of step in for that. They've got a guy stepping in for them, but just kind of, one of those situations where we haven't gotten to see them enough this year that we could really know what's happening. They had the unfortunate situation where Coach D passed away. God rest his soul. And then they just had a couple different things happen where teams forfeited, and they just didn't get to play too much. So I think that's really their challenge as a team is not so much do they have the roster to win. It's just more of, are they ready as a team to win? Because they haven't really played together to hash a lot of things out. So that's the big thing.
Well, I'm excited to see. I would say out of that Southern Conference, I would probably put them as the dark horse favorites just because of that experience. Even back in high school basketball, we would win so many games. You can be down 6 to 8 points in the fourth quarter. It doesn't really matter. I mean, if you know how to grind them out, you trust in one another, you're the more experienced team. Sometimes that is what puts you over the top. So I would watch out for the Patriots. I wouldn't be surprised if any of the northern teams would be playing them in the championship when it's all said and done. You guys as well have a phenomenal shot, and the Crusaders, when you're hot, you're hot. You got to watch out. You don't want to play with fire. So,
Yeah, talking about top quarterbacks, I mean, Jay McCray, the quarterback of the Cardinals. I mean, not the Cardinals, sorry, of the Crusaders. He might be one of the best quarterbacks in our league. He really is an all around. I mean, he's fast. He's faster than fast. Like you'll have him wrapped up, and all of a sudden, he'll just pop out and take off downfield. And half the time, he's jogging. You can visibly see that he's jogging, and he's still outrunning guys. But the other thing too is he'll go off his back foot and throw the ball 50 yards like that, like just off the tip of a finger. So he's a legit football player, and when he's on the field and when he's off the field, I mean, he's their MVP 100%. Totally different team when he's in the game.
The Crusaders, are they a bunch of firefighters or something like that? Is that their stick, or are they just semi-pro ballers?
They're semi-pro guys from all over the place. Over the place. I mean, they're mostly TFL guys. They play on a couple different teams in the TFL. Some of them like Crusaders. It's a similar situation like you guys, just a different dynamic.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think that has to do more with there being so much saturation in the city area because there's so many people.
Sure.
There's so many teams. So it kind of is a different dynamic as opposed to being in like Maine or New Hampshire where things are a lot more spread out and guys kind of all find the same place to be at.
Well, our population is also like 1/10 of your guys. I mean, I'm pretty amazed with what we can do sometimes with the amount of talent we have to pick from. But yeah, I hear what you're saying for sure. Does he have a college background, or has he just been doing this stuff for?
I don't really know him. I've heard that he's been in the TFL for some time. He's a younger guy, so I don't really know his story or where he really came from. He just popped up, and I was like, "Wow, this kid is good. Who is he?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, he's been around a little while." But he's finally getting his moment to kind of step up and
that's
show.
Always great to see, someone, who's been with an organization for a few years, started as a young kid and seeing that happen. We got a couple of great young rookies fresh out of high school this year that we're really excited to work with beyond and into the future as well. So that's always good to see. You have a homegrown guy that you feel pretty confident isn't going to go anywhere, that you guys can work together for the next possibly decade going forward.
That's what they needed. They needed guys that were willing to stay with that organization. Crusaders had a lot of turnover. They've had guys go through the organization just as fast as they went in, they came right back out. Sure. And they need talented guys that is willing to stick around long enough to build something around them. And you'll start to see talent rise up in that organization. What about running backs? What about running backs in the Northern Conference? Who would you say are like your top three guys?
My top two guys as running backs. All right, let's run through the list. I would say Tayshawn, number one, Tayshawn Watson, number 4 for us.
Yeah, he's nasty.
Pretty good. He was a starter in Taunton over last summer. So, I mean, that's pretty darn good. Gladiators is just a phenomenal organization here in New England. So I would start with him. I've got a couple of backup running backs that are pretty good. I say pretty good just because I don't want to sound too ridiculous, but they're really good, to be frank. And then, of course, you got to worry about Tommy Connors and Vereen there, right? With the the Cardinals, so I know all about both. Uh, Tommy used to play for, uh, I'll say me, but the Southern Maine Raging Bulls, and Ronnie Bates up here in Maine. And, me and Tommy really got to know each other. Um, he grew up, or he didn't grow up, but he stayed on Washington Ave, which is, a couple of blocks away from where I grew up. So we really got to know each other. And, he played D back for me. So that's the type of athlete Tommy is. Tommy played D back and wide receiver and some running back in high school. He played wide receiver in college, which is, how I met him. And we invited him into the team, and we put him at D back, which, looking back, was a phenomenal decision. He started a lot of games for us. But Tommy ended up moving back down to Massachusetts, where he's from, and he chose to play for some other teams from there on out. But we love Tommy. I love Tommy. He's a great runner. He's just a great athlete, just a great all around dude.
He's
And
bigger than I thought he was.
What's that?
He's bigger than I thought he was.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he goes through
true.
bulking cycles, and who knows what else he's putting in his body on the weekend. So, you just got to watch out for kids like that. They're freaks. And then you got guys, Davian Jackson is just a young and upcoming kid for the Bearcats. His brother plays for us. Davion has some military obligations, and so the Bearcats were a better fit for him this year. But a stud, a kid on our radar, a kid that we want on our team, to be frank. A hard runner, had some great success in high school, just like their younger brother is now. No surprise there. So that family's just built with athletes, and we're happy to have Desmond on our team. So, but we know to watch out for Davion, Raymond Rizzi, of course. Rizzo, I'm sorry, but I know who he is. GSD running back. I know who they all are. I'm watching. So, great running back. Core for every team really here in the North. And then down south, you do your thing. You got that other cat on your team that runs pretty hard. So, lots of athletes all over this league. So,
Josh definitely is in that conversation. Josh Hines. He hasn't had a lot of games. I think that kind of hinders him. But if you play against him, that's one of them guys you really don't want to face too much.
Sure.
You're talking about Maz. I actually don't know Maz's full name.
Okay.
I played with my coach him. I don't know his full name. But Maz is the other running back. So I'm 26. He's 27. Bigger guy.
Oh, gotcha.
Bruiser. He's got some good speed. He's definitely a good running back. He's actually a star in the AAA. He's Mustang. The Mustang is one of their best guys. He's
gotcha. Okay.
So he's a great running back. What about O-line? This is one of the hardest things for people to kind of talk about, right?
Not for this guy. Let's go.
But let's talk about a little bit. What's your best three O-linemen in the North?
All right. I'll try not to be biased. I would say Seth Brewster, one of my guards, I would say has really, I wouldn't say surprised me. I would say he's really blown me away with his ability to transfer from the AAA thing we've been doing for years and then come over here and understanding it is a little bit slower, it's a little bit different, but he brought the same attitude and the same effort. And that's what we've been preaching all year. Or I've been preaching all year to the guys, is bringing the right attitude and effort. And with that, we can make anything happen. So Seth Brewster's pretty phenomenal. Tackles. I would say, Eric Johansson, my right tackle, just a captain for our team. Pretty phenomenal. Um, Hard worker. He's been doing this for years. He's won at every level. Um, Seth can't, I don't believe, can say that. Seth is a little bit younger than Eric, but they're just both just hard workers, nonstop motors, aggressive when it comes time. Um, Centers, uh, Greg Morse for us. He's played for over 20 years. He played at the high school level, won there. He's played at the college level, had some success there, played prep school, so he's been everywhere with this. Um, Other young tackles and interior linemen I'm interested in when it comes to other teams, and guys that I've worked with before would be Big Boucher with the New England Bearcats. They call him Viking. He's a pretty big body, works pretty hard. Younger group, some guys choose, to party a little bit harder towards the end of the week. You know, that's fine. That's your choice. That's your prerogative. But I wouldn't be using my younger years to be doing that. And I guess that's where the differ, occurs with us. But great guys.
What position is he? A tackle?
He's a tackle. Yep. I'm trying to think of the first name, Boucher. Boucher. I just call him Big Boucher. He's a big kid. Maybe someone can tell us, but yeah, phenomenal kid. He works hard. That's all you can ask for in a young kid. Shows up. Other interior linemen, all tackles. Eli Copeland. He started a bunch of games for us in AAA. He's another Bearcat. Copeland. He's a little bit older, but can start games for you, and has an aggression at times that is a little bit superior to other older tackles. And then trying to think for East Coast, you got Justin Reese, right? Played years and years with the Bay State Bucks, I believe. I hope I'm not disappointing anyone or anything, but I think it was the Bay State Bucks. I think the guy's pretty good. I'm not quite sure of some of the other guys. I was really hoping not to run into guys like Nick Rossi this year. I was happy not to see him pop up anywhere this year. So other guys like that. Have you ever seen Rossi?
No.
Guy played D end at Boston College. He's got to be like 6'8", 6'9", and he gave. Okay, so at my high school in Portland High School, when you're a freshman, you're given a senior, and he's like your big brother, and he's supposed to welcome you into the program, and off you go into sophomore year, right? When this kid graduates. My big brother was this guy named Ryan Waterhouse, and I looked up to him so much just because he was my big brother, and he was really good, and they won state. They were really good, and he just gave my boy just fits, and it wasn't. I didn't like seeing it, because I love my boy, and it's just something I just didn't want to see again. So I'm glad that wasn't the case this year. But they've got some small dudes on the D line that we sort of got to watch out for. They like to sort of run down the plays and stuff,
I hate that.
D linemen who aren't. Oh, well, I'm a mauler. I'm the size of a door frame. I'm 6'8". My senior year of high school, I was 6'7", 305. You know what I mean? I was NFL size.
Yeah.
I hate seeing some dude either lining up in some wicked, stupid, like a mile away. Like, what are you doing to me? And then I can't stand like the track stars who'll start there and then try and loop back inside. Like, Oh man, I
Yeah,
can't.
that's what the Crusaders did. They lined up their like one of their fastest receivers
Stupid.
at DN,
No,
and he just looped around. And I
no.
mean, he's gonna beat the tackle every time. This guy is like a 4-4 guy. He's gonna beat
Well,
the DN every time.
well,
So
you
I
just
hate
gotta
those
run
guys too.
inside, run away from that. Just run away
So
from that.
what about receivers? I know like before we even get there. So you got Henry Epps down on the Patriots. He's like he's a vet, all the way vet, great guy on the O line. He plays center. He could also play guard. Aaron Sweet for our team is playing guard. The big white kid, big hurling bulky dude. He's incredible. He's incredible. Our center also, he's really good. They both come from Albany. Um, so you got a couple of guys down there in the South that can
You
get
said
up in that.
Albany. Are they Metro Ballers?
No, they play for another. They these guys travel. They play for a team out of Vermont, the Vermont Storm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Did you
yeah,
ever see his name was Akil L. Man, what is his name?
you talking about? He plays for the Seminoles.
Oh, he probably does now, knowing this cat. He's a kick returner. He played at Pitt.
Yeah, so he's from my town. Like we grew up together. Yeah.
Yeah. What's his name?
Fuck. You caught me off guard. Hold on.
Yeah.
I
No,
always call him Kane.
he's the real deal, man. I spent a year with Central Penn Piranha before they
Oh, you
folded.
caught me off guard. Latif. What's his name? Lowell. Lowell. His last name is Robinson. Lowell Robinson.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean that dude's the real deal.
Yeah, Low. Oh, thank you, T. Yeah. Low is low. And the crazy thing is like in the last like 4 or 5 years, he kind of like chilled out. But if you would have met him a decade ago, he was like,
Oh yeah, yeah,
it's,
sure.
it's,
For sure.
you can't really. And he played with Shady. He played with McCoy.
Yeah,
Like they were at Pitt together. And I remember he came
that's
down to
crazy.
my high school when I was at Iona Prep, and he did a workout with us. And like his footwork was so crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, just the speed, the fluidity, his hips, like
yeah.
it was a blessing to have him work with us.
He was talking about coming through to the Central Penn Piranha when I was in Philadelphia back in 2014, and that just would have been crazy. I was very excited about meeting him potentially and being part of that team, but folded through unfortunately. But
Earl
that
Latson,
team, looking through that roster, it was exactly like my 2014 Bulls team. It
yeah,
was everyone on that roster was just college talent. Everything was a college. So it was pretty incredible to see the owner Raheem Brock. He would just buy plane tickets for the whole team. Like you just showed up at the airport and you would fly out to Tennessee. You would fly to Texas to play teams, and then he
that's
would
crazy.
buy out the club. It was stupid. So
That's crazy.
pretty
T,
cool.
T, I'm gonna shout him out right now. Earl Latson, probably the best left tackle in the whole IFA. Teef said he played in the NFL. Would love to get his backstory a little bit and hear more about it, Teef. If you could tell us like what team he played on, what school he went to for college, and things like that. That'd be pretty cool. Awesome to hear that we got some NFL talent in our league. Devine Jackson, he was an NFL quarterback too. Um, he's the quarterback of the Falcons right now.
Really?
Yeah, he played in the league. He played with the Jets years ago.
Wow.
Um, who else? Trying to think. I know we got a number of guys that played arena football. A number of guys all over the place. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the Bulls. We had some success with getting some guys in the CFL.
CFL is great.
Yeah, most lately Henry Nell, a South African kicker.
Oh,
He started with rugby and obviously moved on to footballs, and that guy is out there every day. He would hit me up all the time. He would be in a different city in the East Coast. He's like, "All right, see, who do you know out here? I gotta find a field." And he was constantly kicking, and for us to get that phone call to begin the conversations about moving him to Saskatchewan. He's playing for the Rough Riders right now, and it looks pretty phenomenal out there. And we joke all the time. He's a kicker, man. That's pretty cool, man. Like he's
That's
out
pretty
there
cool,
in
man.
Canada doing his thing, and he really loves doing it. So that's awesome to see.
Talking about this kid right here.
Henry Nell, yeah, kid's a
Yeah.
stud. Kid puts
Congrats to
up,
you, Henry.
he puts up at least 200 kicks a day, I bet.
That's amazing. That's
The
amazing.
kid's a
Congrats.
machine. Yeah.
Glad to see it, man. We gotta get more recognition for these guys that are semi-pro guys that are playing at the next level.
Yeah.
People don't recognize how much talent really is on the field with us at any given moment.
No, there's been some top CFL plays of the week where it's been old New England Football League guys versus another old New England Football League guy. So it's pretty cool to see once in a while when you run into them. But
That's
we
pretty cool.
battle against guys like Joe Harris, who played running back at
Oh,
for Arizona, the Arizona Cardinals.
yeah,
He
yeah.
ended up getting cut, of course, and he moved back to Lowell, Massachusetts, and he played for the Nor'easters, back
Wow.
when they were good. And we would game plan against Joe Harris, obviously, an ex-NFL running back. I mean, they had good receivers, but you're not so worried about that when that's in front of you.
Right.
And one game we stopped. He only had to go 5 yards. We turned over the ball. It was horrendous. They only had to go 5 yards, and our middle linebacker and our D tackles, my high school teammates, stopped this NFL guy on they just 4 plays in a row. Just Joe Harris, Joe Harris, Joe Harris, Joe Harris, and we shut him down. And we went on the field and we scored a long touchdown, and it was like, wow, we just shut down an NFL guy. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
pretty crazy. We're just normal dudes. Bobby owns a landscaping company. He's just such a regular dude, but he was a good football player. And in the years that would go on, Joe Harris would be like, "Oh, where's Bobby?" And Bobby got a more serious role within his dad's company, so he stopped showing up. We all grow up, and I was like, "Yeah, no more Bobby, man." And he was like, "Joe Harris, an NFL running back," would be like, "I game planned against that kid," and I would be like, "Wow." An NFL running back game planning against Bobby Nelson. Like, the kid was good, but I mean, just a local kid, and it's pretty phenomenal. We all
Yeah.
come together, we all take it serious, and we just want to win and have a good time. And it's pretty cool that these NFL guys, even when they're done, they're just like, man, I got to go out there and do something, right?
Yeah.
Um,
We
I've seen
need more of it. We need more guys like that.
Yep.
Like the guy that's playing running back for CTP this year played at UConn. And
Okay.
he played substantial time. Like he
Yep.
was a part of that offense all the way. You think of like Harold Cooper, who's a running back at URI.
Yep.
He was their guy.
Sure.
He was their guy in Rhode Island. So you got some really good talent. You think of DJ James, you know what I'm saying? The guy
Yep.
right now, he was WestConn's guy, and now he's out playing pro football overseas right now.
Sure.
Like there's just talent all over the place when you think about semi-pro. And you would think like a lot of guys downplay semi-pro and they say all of this, but I would say the hardest level to play is semi-pro because you could, the discipline factor sometimes is what's missing, right? When you get guys at practice 4 or 5 days a week and you can go over schemes, you can go over game plans, and you have team meetings, and everybody can somewhat be on the same page, as opposed to what we experience in semi-pro, where there's none of that unless you're on a better organization with better coaching staff. A lot of times, guys don't even know the playbook; they're learning it in the game, and that makes it very challenging to play at this level and be good and be effective at this level. You have to be such a freak athlete, or you got to be really good at what you do in order to have success here. And it's a great place to kind of like sharpen the blade. If I would say, probably one of the best places I think that a young, talented college kid could go. The worry is always injury, but if you wanted to go somewhere and really work on your technique and like bump your head against some guys and really get good at football, semi-pro is a place to be. Because if you're a young guy and you come play semi-pro at a high level and then go back to college, you're gonna be like, man, these guys are kids. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
So
what I would say is for me, I think the most important thing before you really put your team together is to develop a good coaching staff, because if that discipline isn't there, if that culture isn't there that you're trying to establish or evolve, um, the players won't be feeling it. You're going to want a college level player uh, if they're available. Uh, so you got to sort of entice them with something. Those guys still want to be challenged. They don't want to just show up and just be the man. I think there's a sliver of people who do, sure, but that's usually not the type of player you want to develop your team around either. So bringing in the college guys who are willing to work hard, who are wanting to learn from the coaching staff and be pushed and be challenged. Um, so in my opinion, bringing in the coaching staff first and developing that culture with the players, and then you start bringing them in and you start working together. That's the better way to go about it. I think a lot of these guys, they want to play with their buddies and they come in and they already have an idea of who's going to start on offense and stuff. And then they start bringing in, the coaches and stuff
yeah,
to
that
sort of
happens.
go
Yeah.
around that. And I just think that's a bit of a recipe for disaster, especially if you're looking to bring in better players throughout the process. So,
Yeah.
um, in our case, our culture works. Our coaching staff is pretty good. I would like to see that throughout, the league. If that means more quality teams than quantity, then in my opinion, so be it. But it'd be interesting to see how this league evolves going forward into the future as well.
I think it's going to be super interesting. Before we wrap it up, last we missed out a position. We're just going to do the offense today. What about receivers? I know right off the top,
Sure.
Kyle Jimenez Fox jumps out to me.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. You always got to watch out. They have that little number 10 slot receiver that we're constantly watching for. So those two guys for sure. Um, on the Bearcats, you have Khalil Rios.
Yeah,
He's
Rios is next.
started throughout the league. He played for me with the Bulls, and again, Ronnie Bates, our head coach, with the Bulls, and he had a season where I don't think he had any drop balls, all practices and games, which is pretty phenomenal. At that time, I think he was 18, 19, so pretty crazy to see. He's a hard worker. He wants to win. He started week 1 for us, but we decided it wasn't, the right fit, and he decided to go on with the Bearcats. He had a choice, and
Thank
uh,
God.
yeah, and that's a great fit for Khalil. That team really appreciates what he brings in, and he is a hard worker. He does want to succeed, so you really can't ask for more out of a kid. And then, yeah, like you said, Jimenez Fox, um, the slot receiver there. For us, our top wide receivers, I would say um, Justin Cocroft. He's playing quarterback a little bit now, but he would still be right on up there. We have Kadeem Edge, who's a Husson wide receiver up here in Bangor. Very hard worker, personal trainer. He's usually in better shape than you, and he is going to outwork you, and he's confident. He's got next level moves that if you're really not a true cornerback and you don't know what to look for, his footwork can burn you. So you better watch out there. He's pretty good. Jordan Jones, my kick returner, punt returner, wide receiver, he could score on the drop of a dime. Boom! You're not paying attention. He roasted you. So that happens pretty quick. I would even say, Tommy Connors again. I don't think he gets many wide receiver looks, but if they have some dump passes out of the backfield, I wouldn't be too stoked to see him catching balls. Period. So I wouldn't want to see that. Yeah, but that's a pretty good bunch. Desmond Jackson, another big body wide receiver, for us. Um, Great kid, got college experience at Anna Maria, and I believe it's in Massachusetts. A nice, decent college wide receiver wise, and he comes in eager to learn. We have Joe Hicks from New York City. Yeah, that guy, his pass blocking is insane. He's got some of the craziest mosses I've ever seen on dudes. Literally, Randy Moss has shout out this dude on Twitter. Like, Joe Hicks, if you're not paying attention, he'll boop one on your head for sure. Real deal. So, yeah, lots of options up here. You know, the Bearcats, you have that Lord kid, right? He's a hard worker at receiver, lengthy kid. I'm not quite sure if he's playing receiver this year, but in the past he has played some receiver. Um, yeah, what's going on out there in the Southern Conference?
I know right off the top of my head, I think of Christian Ramsey out of the Patriots camp. Um, I don't even know Fox's first name, but I know Fox played for he plays for the Mustangs. He's in the Patriots camp as well. He's super dynamic. I mean, don't give him any open space. He'll make you pay for it.
Sure.
Christian Ramsey's the same way. Former running back, now playing a little bit of slot. Just one of those athlete type of guys. Don't give him a seam. If you give him a seam, he's bye bye, sweetheart. See you later. The Falcons, it's kind of a crazy situation. Like, I think our best receiver was Jason Attleberry, but Jason is he's getting paid to play in different places right now. He's getting offers from all different places to play kind of like pro ball, flag ball. So he's kind of doing his own thing. So we lost him, but then you still got Jaquan Romel. You know, he's the type of guy that if the ball is put in the right position, and the defender is just in the wrong position with that frame, he's gonna go up and get that ball most times. And then Eric Dudley has stepped up from I think like week 3. The guy's got to have over 20 receptions, and he's got a couple hundred yards. I mean, he's almost unguardable. I feel like he's unguardable in any route under 10 yards. He's just so shifty. You can't pick up on where he's going. He'll hit you with 3 or 4 moves off the line of scrimmage and just spin your head around.
Wow.
The Crusaders, number 6 on their team, dog. He's a dog. He's the one that caught that touchdown on us. But even prior to that big touchdown, just him getting downfield, Matty Ice, they call him. I mean, he's a burner. He's got good feet. He was open a couple times during that game. So that's a good guy out of the Crusaders camp.
Wow.
And they got a guy number 15 on that team too, who's the track star. I mean, this dude is just a straight downfield. You better have somebody deep, because if not, he's gonna go by him and catch that ball. So
sure,
a lot of receiver talent in the South. I think out of all the positions, we might have the most talent in the receiver position in the South.
Wow.
A lot of guys down there. So that's pretty cool. Maybe next week I'll have a quick conversation with whoever my next guest, if you be available next week too. Maybe we'll get you back on, talk about what happens this first round, with the Patriots and Crusaders, with you guys and the Bearcats. And then we'll kind of go through the defensive guys and see if we can get a nice little list to kind of put together and put out there and get a little like player vote, player poll, who everybody feels like is the top 2 or top 3 guys in the league. But listen, Coach Zach, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time coming out here and having a conversation with me. I love the Warhawks this year. I love everything that they've done. Like, doing the whole polls thing, like the power rankings, and kind of just digging into teams and what they were before. the season. I was a fan of the Warhawks then. I was a fan of that then, right? And then seeing how you guys, built that organization up. I'm like, I love dark horses. I love underdogs. You guys went from an underdog story to the top dog story very quickly. It was like
Yeah.
overnight. So I love it. So I appreciate everything you guys did. Again, congratulations on an incredible season. Dominated a whole season. Congrats. Reach out to them guys in the Sunshine Bowl and get that team ranked because you guys deserve to be ranked. They need film. They
Yeah.
need numbers. They need all that. Send it to them because I promise you should be ranked.
Yeah. All right.
Definitely. And then we got to talk about having that like that elite Northeast type of
That would
tournament.
be cool.
That would be super cool. It would be fun.
Yeah.
I'd love to play in something like that.
Yeah.
Again, I'll reach out to you during the week and see if you're available in the future for future shows. But I appreciate you coming out tonight, man. Any
All right,
last
brother,
words that you want to tell the people before you take off?
Go Warhawks, baby. Let's go.
I hear you.
Warhawks. Let's go.
All right, Coach. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
Guys, thank you all for coming out tonight. Great conversation. That was Coach Zach Shirland of the Seacoast Warhawks. Man, fun conversation, a lot to talk about. So we kind of went through some of the top guys in the IFA on the offensive side. Next week, we'll try to go through some of the defensive guys. We got some big games in the playoffs coming up all over the place. The TFL's got playoffs starting. NEAFL, we talked about their playoffs. The New Jersey unit taking on the Knights is going to be a huge game. Big game. The Patriots Crusaders game. I mean, listen, it was 14-12 the first time. I'm really hoping that the Patriots, really put it on them. But at the same time, I'm like, man, the Crusaders story would be crazy. A team that was getting blown out early in the season, all of a sudden they beat the number one team and they win in the playoffs. That would be a crazy story in itself. So it's just a lot. It's a fun time in football right now. Just want to say I appreciate you guys for joining the show tonight. Next week's show is just going to be as much fun as it was tonight. Top 10 plays is coming out. Sir Ronald Jr. for MVP. Get out of here with that. Yeah, we definitely going to talk MVP. But listen, the top 10 plays is going to be out tomorrow. I got to do the voiceover for it. And then once the voiceover is done, we'll piece that up and post that. So that'll be pretty cool to see. It's going to be plays from the TFL. It's going to be plays from the Tuffle League down in Texas. I got plays from down there. We got to shout out more teams from Texas. My man's dropped in from the Louisiana Bayou. He said we got to play some teams down in Louisiana. We got to do it. They calling us out now. They calling us out officially. We got to go down there. We got to beat up on them. So we're gonna have some fun with that. Once that drops, we're probably gonna talk about that a little bit. I'm gonna post that to my Facebook page. That'll also be on the YouTube channel 6for60, so you can check that out. That's it, man. That's it. It's a wrap. We talked about it. The Warhawks, they was being nice. All right, they wasn't saying it. They wasn't saying anything crazy. But at the end of the day, for the guys that don't know, the Warhawks and Cardinals. We're going to just look at it real quick. The Warhawks and Cardinals in the Northern Conference, that's the game to watch, man. That's really like the championship game for the IFA. Those are the two best teams. They're elite. The Warhawks beat the Falcons during the season. The Patriots lost to the Cardinals during the season. So as far as top teams are concerned, the North is 2-0 against the South. And really that's going to be like the championship before the championship. That's going to be a great game. So, just a lot of football to come. It's going to be real interesting over the next couple of weeks. So we're going to talk about it, man. But that's it. I'm wrapping it up. Next week's show, same thing, Thursday. Wow, my man said Bayou Canes versus anyone. Yo, Lateef Adams, where you at? That sounds like a direct call out to the Long Island Eagles. Right now, the Long Island Eagles is the best 2A team in the North. Where's my man's at? Where's my quarterback at from the New Jersey unit? That sounds like a shout out to them too. New Jersey unit, the best team in the North in 3A. Gonna have to come out there and play them. Yo, Tashawn, man, that's just how it rolled out. So just to give you a little bit of background before we take off, the IFA has teams from as far as Maine, the state of Maine, all the way down to Brooklyn, New York. That's pretty far. If you're in Louisiana, that's like having teams from like Houston all the way out to like Florida, basically. Nah, that's a little too far. I would say having teams from like NOLA all the way to like Tampa, basically. About like a 6 to 7 hour drive from the furthest team to the most south team. So what you end up happening is there's a whole nother league in New York called the TFL, and you got 6 or 7 teams in that league. So it's kind of crazy how the whole composition of football is in the North right now. It's kind of crazy because then you also got New Jersey that takes a lot of talent. So they have less people and less teams, so you end up with more talented guys in one spot. As where you go down to the south and it starts to spread out, you got a lot more talented guys doing different things in different places. So it's just an interesting dynamic, just an interesting dynamic. And as far as the IFA is concerned, this year you ended up with the North kind of running away with it. The Falcons fumbled the ball. We really had the opportunity to be the top team, and we fumbled the ball twice. Actually, we lost to the Warhawks, and then we fumbled the ball against the Crusaders. It really messed us up. So that's just a little bit of history. But there's other podcasts on the YouTube channel. I'm gonna post that. So if you want to go back and hear some of the stories and storylines of how this all came together, we definitely talked about it all. But yeah, man, the book is being written. That's for sure. And this is gonna be a fun year. Listen, you Louisiana guys, I do a top 10 plays. I try to do it every week or every other week. If you guys got plays, like super highlight plays that you guys want to show off to the world, send them to me in my inbox on Facebook. Just DM me and shoot me the clip. Definitely get you guys on the plays. I'll share that to you guys as well. All right, I got to get out of here, man. It's 10:59. It's almost 11 o'clock. I appreciate you all for coming out. I appreciate you guys for watching the show. Support the channel. Spread the information. We're trying to spread semi-pro football across the world. We need more people showing up to our games. We need more people watching our tapes. We need more people knowing about the great football that we're playing. And this is just one of the ways, you know what I'm saying? I want to talk about more leagues. I want to talk about more states. I want to really show that we got some talented guys, some devoted guys, some good people in semi-pro football, and they deserve the recognition. So continue to share, continue to watch. Appreciate you guys for showing up tonight. We will see you next week, and I'll see you guys at the 50. All right, man. Take it.